In the world of training for bodybuilding, there are two eternal questions. Does getting bigger make you stronger, and should you train with intensity or volume? Why do these questions get so confused, and why is there so much controversy? The answer is simple: drugs and genetics. Drugs and genetics trumps everything. Your individual response to training will be dictated by your genetics. We've all seen it, the group of guys at the gym, all training the same, but one of them looks way better. And we've all known someone in high school that was just naturally ripped and lean and didn't have to do anything. This is genetics at play. Strength, hypertrophy, and muscle building, these things are shaped by your genetics. Of course, we can influence the outcome. Training matters, but genetics matters more. Generally speaking, when we're talking about genetic traits within humans, these traits are distributed normally, which means that the vast majority of people exist in the middle of a bell curve. A good example of this is IQ. By definition, the majority of people have around a 100 IQ, but there are people with a 70 IQ, and there are people with 170 IQ. And those people with 170 IQ, their responses to learning, their ability to problem solve and be creative is vastly different from those with 100 IQ. The same is true for muscle building. There are muscle building geniuses. There are people with effective 170 IQs that can build muscle just by looking at weights. And so because of that, their opinions on training and their responses to training aren't really applicable to most of us. And the same is true with drugs. Performance-enhancing drugs are performance-enhancing. It's in the name. They're powerful. And this has been shown in literature. In a 2001 study conducted by Bazin, the author observed over a 20-week period that individuals taking 600 milligrams of testosterone per week grew more than individuals who were training. They took 600 milligrams of test, didn't train, and got more gains than the people who were training. Now, of course, the group that took testosterone and trained got even better results, but that's a topic for another video. The point is, when it comes to bodybuilding training, drugs and genetics play an outsized influence, and so most of the advice and observations on this topic are tainted and just not very useful. So let's actually get back to our questions. Does getting stronger make you bigger? Yes and no. I mean, the truth is, the biggest people in the world aren't the strongest, and the strongest people in the world aren't the biggest. But all things being equal, the cross-sectional area of a muscle is the biggest predictor of strength. So there is a clear correlation between size and strength. For example, a 2021 study on 51 resistance-trained males found that stronger participants had greater fat-free mass, appendicular lean mass, and bone density. Additionally, a 2013 study on elite powerlifters found significant correlations between skeletal muscle mass and performance in the squat, bench press, and deadlift. Well, okay, if that's the case, why aren't the biggest people in the world the strongest? Well, there are a number of other factors that influence strength. For example, individual biomechanics and leverages matter. People with shorter arms are likely to be better at the bench. People with longer arms are likely to be better at the deadlift. These things are dictated by your skeleton, by your joints, and not by your muscle mass. Additionally, joint and bone strength play a tremendous role. The best strength athletes in the world are often those that are the least prone to injury. It takes time to build strength, and if you're getting injured all the time, you're not going to be as strong. So if you have stronger joints and stronger bones, you're going to be more durable and resilient, and you'll probably be able to train longer and harder. And again, that isn't directly connected to muscle mass. Furthermore, specificity really matters. Bodybuilders don't train for 1 rep max strength. They train in moderate rep ranges, they use a wide variety of movements, and as a result, they're not as specialized, and so they're not likely to be as strong in one given movement. Lastly, of course, there's genetic variation. It's possible that those people who are naturally stronger gravitate more towards strength sports, and those who are naturally bigger move towards bodybuilding. Again, genetic intervariability makes a huge difference. Okay, so there's this correlation here between size and strength, but it's not one-to-one, and there's all these other confounding factors. As a bodybuilder, should you train for strength? If we're talking about training to maximize 1 rep max strength, no, that is not effective for bodybuilders. You need more effective reps if you're trying to build the most tissue possible. But bodybuilders should seek to get stronger in a wide variety of rep ranges, in a wide variety of movements. That's the key to progress long term, and that will help you build the most tissue. Let's talk about the other question, intensity versus volume. It's often presented as this dichotomy, a contest between individuals. You've got Mike Menser and Arnold Schwarzenegger. You've got a tough guy and a wimp. But these questions and these comparisons miss the point. The purpose of training is progress, and we can achieve progress through a variety of means. Volume and intensity are just training variables, and we should always be manipulating our training variables to ensure we're making progress. So, for example, if you train heavier and closer to failure, you won't be able to do as much volume. You won't be able to recover from it, and you probably won't need as much volume because your reps will be more stimulating. Conversely, if you train lighter and further from failure, you'll be able to do more volume and you'll also need it. But what should I do? Which of these methods is more effective? The answer is actually really simple. You should do the method that you'll do. I'm not being facetious here. Bodybuilding is a marathon, not a sprint. You need to pick a training style that best fits your personality and your needs. If you're an intense person, if you get really revved up by high effort and high energy, you should probably train that way. If you're more relaxed and you're capable of doing more work over a longer period of time, maybe high volume is better suited to your personality. It might even be better suited to your genetics. Here's the other secret. You'll probably need to change training styles over time. For example, older lifters, as they age, tend to train lighter. Their joints are degrading, their elbows are creaky, and so they reduce the weight and do more volume. Conversely, younger trainees, when they've got more energy, they've got more angst and rage, they tend to train heavier and harder. And that's okay because, again, this makes sense for the stage of life that they're in. And another common axiom in bodybuilding is that the best training is the training you're not doing. So if you've been going down one path for a while and getting mediocre results, try something different. And then when that stalls, maybe try something else. That's a part of the art and the journey here. One additional note here. When you're new to training, you should absolutely train light and get used to the movements. But that kind of early intermediate stage, maybe you've been training from 6 to 18 months, you probably do need to train closer to failure because you need to learn what failure feels like. You need to know where the edge of that cliff is so you know when you're about to fall off. Again, lighter training with higher volumes can be very effective, but it is most effective when it is already grounded in proper training principles and when people understand where failure is. When we're talking about size and strength, intensity and volume, there is no one answer here. The ultimate arbiter is progress. Are you moving forward? Is what you're doing working? If it is, keep doing it. If it's not, change it up.